Welcome to Worldwide A News. Winter is nearly upon us, and there's a lot to unpack in terms of what the UK's weather has in store this November and beyond. This year's forecast has people wondering if we're headed for an early start to winter, with predictions hinting at cold temperatures and potential snow across various parts of the country. Today, we'll dive into the forecast details, including the expected temperature trends, snowfall chances, the effects of climate patterns like La Niña, and even tips on preparing for the winter months ahead. Let's get into it. We'll start with a look at November itself. The first half of the month is predicted to be relatively calm, especially for southern parts of the UK, where a high-pressure system is expected to bring more settled weather. This means fewer storms, clearer skies, and slightly milder temperatures than usual. But the north of the UK is likely to see cooler and more variable weather patterns as we move through November. This sets the stage for what could be a colder and potentially snowier end to the month. As we approach mid-November, there's a strong likelihood that temperatures will drop noticeably. This cooling trend will be driven by the jet stream shifting southward, which brings colder Arctic air down from the north. Forecasters predict that this colder air mass could reach as far south as northern England, and in higher altitude areas like the Scottish Highlands, this could mean early snowfall. Snow chances at lower elevations might be brief, but they signal a shift in the season and hint at what could be a colder winter to come. Now, looking beyond November, let's discuss some of the larger climate influences expected to shape this winter season. One of the primary drivers is a climate pattern called La Niña. La Niña is a phase in the El Niño Southern Oscillation, which causes cooler than average sea temperatures in the Pacific Ocean and often brings colder, more turbulent weather to regions across Europe, including the UK. La Niña tends to push the jet stream further south, allowing colder air from the Arctic to dip into the UK. This setup often leads to increased snowfall and chilly conditions, especially in northern parts of the country. Historically, La Niña winters have been marked by colder than usual temperatures across Europe, and meteorologists are already forecasting a greater likelihood of snow showers throughout December and January. Additionally, the North Atlantic Oscillation, or NAO, plays a big role in determining whether the winter will be especially cold or mild. The NAO has two phases, positive and negative. During its negative phase, it often creates conditions that encourage colder air to settle over the UK, heightening the chances of snow and prolonged cold spells. With La Niña already making an impact, a negative NAO could mean a winter filled with snowy days, especially in December and early January. The way winter weather impacts the UK varies significantly by region, and this winter is no exception. Let's break down the expected conditions for each part of the country.
Northern regions, especially areas in Scotland and northern England, are likely to feel the effects of the colder weather first. High-altitude areas, such as the Scottish Highlands, will likely experience early snowfall and consistently low temperatures that will keep snow on the ground longer than in other parts of the country.
In the Midlands, we may see a mix of rain and occasional snow showers, particularly during colder spells. Although snowfall in this region might not be as frequent or heavy as in the north, there's still a chance of frost and light snow, especially as we move deeper into winter.
As we look further south to areas like southern England, it's expected to be milder with more rain than snow. The Atlantic's influence on southern and coastal areas often keeps temperatures higher, which can prevent snow from accumulating. However, southern regions aren't immune to cold snaps. If Arctic air pushes south far enough, we may see brief snow flurries even here, though they are unlikely to last. Now let's discuss the Arctic air and the jet stream, two elements that are central to understanding the UK's winter weather. The jet stream is a high-altitude band of winds that directs weather systems across the Atlantic toward Europe. When it shifts southward, it can allow cold Arctic air to move down into the UK, bringing sudden temperature drops and snow. These blasts of Arctic air are often responsible for the most intense winter storms we experience, and they can lead to heavy snowfall and even blizzard-like conditions in some areas. Arctic systems often bring a mixture of snow, sleet, and strong winds, with the most severe impacts typically felt in the northern and western parts of the UK. We've seen similar patterns before during intense winters, where the arrival of Arctic air has brought widespread disruption. This season, forecasters are keeping an eye on how the jet stream and Arctic influences will interact to shape our winter weather. With the potential for a colder than usual winter, it's important to prepare ahead of time. Here are some tips that can help you stay safe and ready for whatever winter throws your way.
Travel safety. If you're planning to drive in wintry conditions, make sure your vehicle is prepared. Check your tire tread, top up on antifreeze, and consider carrying an emergency kit, especially if you're in areas prone to snow. Snow chains or winter tires can make a big difference in keeping you safe on icy roads.
Home preparation. Keeping your home warm and safe during a cold winter is crucial. Seal any drafts around windows and doors to retain heat, and make sure your heating system is in good working order. Frozen pipes can be a big issue, so it's worth insulating pipes in unheated areas to prevent them from bursting.
Health and safety. Cold weather can increase the risk of health issues like hypothermia, particularly for elderly or vulnerable people. Dress in layers, wear proper winter clothing, and avoid prolonged exposure to the cold. Keeping an eye on weather alerts and having a plan for emergencies can also be helpful, especially during prolonged cold spells.
In summary, November is shaping up to be a transitional month, bringing cooler temperatures and the potential for early snow, especially in northern parts of the UK. As we move further into winter, the influence of La Niña and Arctic air masses, along with the jet stream, suggests that we may be in for a colder than average season with a greater chance of snowfall, particularly in December and January. Whether you're hoping for a white Christmas or just want to be prepared, staying informed is the best way to face a potentially intense winter season. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe for more weather updates, and let us know in the comments how you're preparing for winter.